In this episode, we dive into the most disturbing deaths of YouTubers who died while filming videos, from a stunt gone horribly wrong to a picture in the summit turning into a nightmare. It was August 9, 2015 in Villaseca de la Sagra, a small town near Toledo, Spain. The annual bull running festival was in full swing, drawing crowds eager to witness the traditional spectacle. Among them was 32-year-old David Melado Lopez, who had traveled from the nearby village of Villasequilla to experience the excitement. David wasn't a regular participant in bull runs. Friends would later describe him as someone who enjoyed watching rather than participating. On this warm summer night, around 1:40 a.m., David stood behind the protective metal barriers with other spectators, his smartphone in hand. Like many in the digital age, he was eager to capture moments of the event to share online. As the bulls raced through the streets, a dramatic scene unfolded before the crowd. Two bulls collided violently, and one fell to the ground, appearing unconscious from the impact. For David, this presented a unique opportunity, a chance to film something extraordinary that few would ever witness up close. Despite the clear danger, David made a fateful decision. He stepped out from behind the protective barriers, venturing into the open street where the bulls ran. His focus was entirely on his phone screen as he approached the fallen bull, oblivious to his surroundings and the warnings shouted by other spectators. What David failed to notice was a third bull charging from behind him. The animal, already agitated from the run, spotted David standing in the open and targeted him immediately. Witnesses described the horrifying moment when the bull reached him. There was no time for David to react. The bull's horns struck him with devastating force, goring him repeatedly, including a fatal wound to his neck. The attack was brutal and swift. Onlookers watched in horror as David was tossed like a puppet by the powerful animal. Emergency services rushed to his aid, providing immediate medical attention at the scene before transferring him to Hospital Virgen de la Salud in Toledo. Despite receiving 2 liters of blood transfusions and emergency surgery, David's injuries were too severe. At approximately 6 a.m., just hours after the incident, doctors pronounced him dead. The medical team reported that he had suffered multiple chest injuries, abdominal wounds, and 2 heart attacks in addition to the massive hemorrhage from his neck wound. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the small community. Jesus Hinojosa, the mayor of Villaseca de la Sagra, expressed his dismay. "This sends shivers down our spine. We organize these events as a tradition so that people can enjoy them. But these things happen. Bulls are dangerous animals, and when there are a lot of people, some don't pay attention. You have to have your wits about you." David's death was particularly poignant for the town, as it marked the second fatal goring at their festival in recent years. In 2010, a 41-year-old carpenter had also lost his life during a bull run there. Elena Fernandez, the mayoress of David's hometown Villasequilla, shared insights into his life. Friends have said he never took part in the bull runs, that it was just bad luck he decided to record the video on his mobile and leave the protected area, and the bull got him. It's a tragic and stupid death. David lived a modest life with his grandfather and uncle, taking odd jobs to make ends meet. 2 summers before his death, he had worked as a lifeguard at the local swimming pool. Those who knew him remembered a young man with his whole life ahead of him, a life cut short by a momentary lapse in judgment. David Melado Lopez's story stands as a stark reminder of how quickly the pursuit of capturing a moment can turn deadly. His death, like many others in the age of smartphone documentation, highlights the dangers that can arise when the focus on filming overshadows awareness of very real threats. It was July 28, 2021 in the Italian Alps. Mount Seseda in Val Gardena stood imposingly against the summer sky, its jagged peaks rising 8,200 feet into the clouds. Among the many hikers traversing its dangerous paths that day was 22-year-old Danish YouTuber Albert Deerland, who had chosen this treacherous location for what he believed would be his next viral video. Instead, it would become the scene of his final moments. The plan seemed simple enough: capture stunning footage along the mountain's notorious hiking trail that connected 2 dramatic peaks. The location was a photographer's dream, offering breathtaking panoramic views of the Dolomites. But it was also known among locals and experienced hikers for its deadly combination of steep drops, loose rocks, and unpredictable weather conditions. Deerland's journey to internet fame began in 2016 when he first started sharing his uniquely bold content on YouTube. His fearless approach to entertainment quickly captured audiences' attention, earning him over 170,000 YouTube subscribers and 235,000 Instagram followers. Whether he was shaving his head on camera or daringly licking snails, his unconventional style resonated with a generation hungry for authentic, unfiltered content. His talent wasn't limited to social media stunts. In 2018, Dearlund's star rose further when he landed the lead role in Team Albert, a comedy film that seemed to mirror his own life, the story of a high schooler's quest for YouTube stardom. The film's success at the 2019 Danish Film Awards, where it won the Blockbuster Audience Award, cemented his place in Danish entertainment. He followed this with a series of successful music videos, including viral hits like Summer, Emoji, Friends Forever, and Ulla, each showcasing his diverse creative abilities. That July afternoon, accompanied by friends and equipped with his camera gear, Dearlund made his way along the precipitous path. The trail, barely wide enough in places for a single person, snaked between two mountain peaks. Below, the valley floor lay more than 650 feet down, roughly the height of a 60-story building. The conditions that day were treacherous. Fog banks rolled in and out, periodically obscuring the sheer drops on either side. In a matter of seconds, the unthinkable happened. Whether distracted by his filming or simply losing his footing on the loose rocky terrain, Dearlund stepped wrong. His friends, who had been filming with him, watched helplessly as he plummeted 656 feet from the ridge. Immediately, they called emergency services at approximately 4 p.m. local time. The Italian Alpine Rescue Service responded quickly, dispatching a helicopter from their nearest station. However, the rescue operation faced immediate challenges. Dense fog had settled between the peaks, severely limiting visibility. The helicopter crew, along with ground rescue teams, battled deteriorating weather conditions as they searched for Dearlund in the treacherous terrain below the hiking trail. After a grueling search hampered by poor visibility and dangerous conditions, rescue teams finally located Dearlund. Medical personnel were lowered to the scene, but it was too late. Albert Dearlund was pronounced dead at the site of the fall, his camera equipment scattered around him on the unforgiving rocks. The task of notifying Dearlund's family fell to local authorities, who worked with the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs to make the official notification. His mother, Vibjørger Jensen, would later break the news to his fans through Danish news outlet TV2. Her words, heavy with grief, resonated across social media. "We are in great grief, but I would like his fans to know." The Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs subsequently confirmed the death to Ekstrabladet newspaper, transforming a personal tragedy into international headlines. The impact of Dearlund's death rippled through the content creator community. Danish YouTuber Rasmus Brohave, who had collaborated with Albert on several projects, captured the community's anguish in a heartfelt tweet. "I'm completely out of it. I am ready to cry and empty of words. I cannot understand it. I will forever remember all our memories." Other prominent Danish creators shared their own tributes, each struggling to process the loss of their friend and colleague. It was May 3, 2023, and the Yamuna Expressway stretched ahead, its smooth asphalt seemingly inviting speed. Agastya Chan, a 25-year-old YouTuber with over 1.2 million subscribers on his channel Pro Writer 1000, had planned his ride from Agra to Delhi with one goal in mind: to push his Kawasaki Ninja ZX-10R to its limits. Known for his high-speed videos and daring stunts, Agastya had built a reputation on his extreme riding skills. His fan base admired him, but his stunts, often performed on public roads, had sparked controversy. Agastya, living in Dehradun, Uttarakhand, had transformed his love for bikes into a full-fledged career. His channel showcased the raw power of his Kawasaki Ninja, a 998 cubic centimeter bike with 197.4 horsepower, capable of reaching speeds over 186 miles per hour. But while his videos earned millions of views, they also drew attention from law enforcement. Earlier in 2023, Agastya had been cited for performing reckless stunts on public roads in Dehradun, violating traffic laws and endangering public safety. Despite multiple warnings, he continued to ride dangerously, confident in his skills. On the day of the incident, Agastya was accompanied by 4 friends. They were all riding at high speeds, pushing their machines to the limit. Agastya aimed to hit 186 miles per hour, eager to show off his bike's capabilities. The Yamuna Expressway, clear and open, seemed to offer the perfect opportunity. At around the 29-mile mark, Agastya accelerated, feeling the rush as his bike surged forward. The wind blasted against him, and the road ahead appeared flawless. But at these extreme speeds, the slightest mistake can lead to disaster. Without warning, Agastya's bike collided with a road divider. The crash was violent. The bike shattered on impact. The helmet, which should have protected him, fractured under the force. At such a speed, nearly 186 miles per hour, the damage was inevitable. Agastya suffered fatal head injuries, and by the time emergency services arrived, he had already passed. The Tapal police from Aligarh district took custody of Agastya's body, which was later sent to Kailash Hospital in Greater Noida for a post-mortem. News of his tragic death spread quickly. Agastya's last video, uploaded on May 2nd, was flooded with messages of disbelief and grief. Fans expressed sorrow, some even reflecting on the dangers of riding recklessly. One comment echoed the sentiment, "Agastya taught us all an important lesson: drive safely." The police investigation into Agastya's crash began after a friend suggested that a truck might have played a role, possibly pushing him off course. However, this claim remains unverified. Authorities are reviewing CCTV footage and Agastya's helmet camera to reconstruct the events. The incident reignited discussions about the dangers of high-speed stunts on public roads. Critics quickly pointed to Agastya's reckless behavior, noting that his channel was filled with similar dangerous stunts. One user on X, formerly Twitter, remarked, "It seemed inevitable. How did no one stop him?" Agastya's death became a stark reminder of the risks of overspeeding. In Aligarh, where the crash occurred, road safety experts highlighted the troubling number of fatalities caused by speeding. Agra, near the site, has one of the highest road accident death rates in Uttar Pradesh, with overspeeding responsible for more deaths than any other major city. Authorities and safety advocates issued urgent calls to avoid such stunts and to respect speed limits. They emphasized that racetracks, unlike public roads, offer controlled environments with crash barriers and medical teams that minimize risks. Public roads, on the other hand, are unpredictable and filled with hazards, making them unsuitable for extreme speed. Agastya's tragic end underscored a crucial message. Even with skill and experience, the dangers of pushing limits on public roads are real. It was a warm day in April 2023 in Americana, Brazil. Diego Caua Oliveira Santos, a 20-year-old social media star with nearly 140,000 Instagram followers, was out with his friends, ready to create more content for his eager audience. Known for his music and lifestyle videos featuring luxury cars and beautiful women, Diego had built a substantial following in just a few short years. Lake Salto Grande stretched before them, an artificial reservoir that had become a popular spot for locals to hang out. The water shimmered under the Brazilian sun, deceptively calm despite the powerful currents that ran beneath its surface. For Diego, this picturesque setting wasn't just a place to relax, it was the perfect backdrop for his next viral moment. Earlier that day, Diego had messaged his followers with excitement, "I'll give you something live from the lake today." It was a promise that would tragically become his final communication with his fans. Dressed in stylish clothes and sporting his signature confident smile, Diego approached the water's edge with his phone ready to capture whatever daring stunt he had planned. What exactly Diego intended to film remains unclear. Some reports suggest he was attempting to capture himself swimming in a dangerous area, while others indicate he may have been planning to jump from a height into the water. Whatever his plan, the young influencer was no stranger to risk. His previous content often showcased him in precarious situations for the thrill of his audience. As Diego positioned himself near the water, his friends watched from a short distance away. The moment quickly turned from routine to catastrophic. Diego suddenly lost his footing on the slippery bank and fell into the reservoir. His friends immediately realized something was wrong as the current began to pull him away from the shore. He was there one second, gone the next, one witness later told police. The water just took him. Diego's friends rushed to help, calling out and reaching toward him, but the current was too strong. Lake Salto Grande's artificial nature created unpredictable underwater currents, invisible forces that can trap even strong swimmers. Diego, despite his youth and vitality, was no match for the power of the water. As panic set in, Diego's friends called emergency services. The fire department dispatched rescue teams immediately, but by the time they arrived, it was too late. The rescuers searched the water for hours before recovering Diego's body. The official cause of death was drowning, but investigators labeled the incident suspicious, not because they suspected foul play, but because of the circumstances surrounding why Diego was at the dangerous spot in the first place. The news of Diego's death spread quickly through social media, the very platform that had brought him fame. His Instagram account, once filled with vibrant posts showcasing his lifestyle, became a digital memorial. Fans left thousands of comments expressing shock and grief. "He was so young," one follower wrote. "He had his whole life ahead of him." In the days following the tragedy, Diego's brother gained access to his social media accounts. In an emotional post, he thanked fans for their support and shared his grief. "He was a person who always motivated me to be like him, to seek success, not to be discouraged, to pursue my dream. My brother supported me very, very much in this life, and I'm sure he's in a good place." Diego's funeral was held at Parque das Palmeiras Cemetery, where hundreds gathered to say goodbye to the young star. His story became a sobering reminder of how quickly life can change, how a moment meant to capture excitement for social media can turn deadly in an instant. For the influencer community, Diego's death highlighted the risks some content creators take in pursuit of the perfect post. His legacy lives on through his videos, a digital footprint of a life that burned bright but ended far too soon at the edge of Lake Salto Grande. It was May 3, 2014, near Denver, Colorado. Amritpal Singh, a 29-year-old pilot, sat at the controls of his Cessna 150K at Front Range Airport. What should have been a routine joy ride, showing a musician friend the city lights from above, would end in a tragedy that exposed the deadly mix of night flying and social media distraction. That evening, his passenger was Jatinder Singh, a 31-year-old musician who had just finished performing at a local concert. The flight was meant to be a simple sightseeing tour, but Amritpal had developed a concerning habit. A GoPro camera mounted to his plane's windshield had captured numerous previous flights, showing the pilot repeatedly taking selfies with passengers, often using his phone's flash function during nighttime flights. The pilot's experience told two different stories. On paper, Amritpal's 726 total flight hours suggested competence, but a closer look revealed a crucial detail. Only 27 of those hours were in nighttime conditions. More importantly, he lacked the proper certifications for night flying with instruments and carrying passengers after dark, requirements that existed for precisely the type of flight he was about to undertake. At 12:10 a.m., under clear skies, Amritpal began his takeoff roll. The Cessna 150K, a basic training aircraft powered by a single 100-horsepower engine, climbed steadily into the dark Colorado night. The city lights of Denver twinkled below, creating the perfect backdrop for photos, a temptation that would prove fatal. Just minutes after takeoff, something went terribly wrong. While the GoPro didn't capture the fatal flight itself, investigators would later piece together the sequence of events based on previous recording patterns. The evidence pointed to a deadly combination. Amritpal likely reached for his phone, and the flash in the darkened cockpit triggered spatial disorientation, a condition where pilots lose their ability to determine their position relative to the ground. Tony Molinaro, a veteran flight instructor with Rocky Mountain Flight School, later emphasized the dangers of such distractions. Why take a picture at that critical moment of flight? Why disrupt your concentration on the really critical tasks at that important moment? The Cessna's descent was swift and uncontrolled. Unable to recover from the disorientation, Amritpal lost control of the aircraft. The plane crashed into a wheat field, bouncing once before coming to rest upright. Both Amritpal and Jatinder died instantly upon impact. The wreckage remained undiscovered for nearly 7 hours. At approximately 7:30 a.m., emergency services finally located the crash site. The investigation was thorough, examining every aspect of the aircraft, but found no mechanical failures. The National Transportation Safety Board's final report was clear and direct. Based on the evidence of the pilot using a cell phone during low-altitude maneuvering, including just before the crash, it is likely that cell phone use during the accident flight distracted the pilot and contributed to the development of spatial disorientation and subsequent loss of control. The crash highlighted a significant gap in aviation safety regulations. While commercial pilots operate under strict rules prohibiting personal electronic device use during critical phases of flight, private pilot regulations were less defined. The Federal Aviation Administration broadly prohibited careless or reckless operation, but specific guidelines about cell phone use remained vague. It was September 10, 2021, a chilly evening in Moscow, Russia. The air was crisp as Dmitry Binov, a 34-year-old urban explorer and YouTuber with over 880,000 subscribers, prepared for another adventure. Known online as Dimt, he had captivated his audience with videos showcasing the forgotten corners of the world. On this evening, Dmitry and two friends planned to explore an abandoned 5-story building on 1905 Street. The goal: to capture breathtaking views of Moscow's skyline from the rooftop. The building, constructed in 1971, had been vacant for years. Scheduled for renovation, the project was delayed indefinitely, leaving it a crumbling shell of its former self. Inside, the floors sagged, some sections of the walls were covered in graffiti, and debris filled the halls. The building's state was deteriorating, with rusted supports and sagging beams making it a risky place to explore. Adjacent to the site was a disused tram depot, now serving as a makeshift bus yard. Despite the obvious hazards, the trio pressed on, driven by the thrill of discovery. Navigating the deteriorating structure, they encountered collapsed staircases and unstable floors. Eventually, they found a rusting fire escape ladder leading to the roof. Dmitry's friends ascended first, testing each rung before moving. Dmitry, experienced in scaling precarious structures, followed with his camera strapped securely to his chest. As he climbed, the ladder groaned under his weight. At 20 feet up, the first rung cracked, sending a chill of warning through him. Halfway up, the bolts holding the ladder to the wall began to give way. Before Dmitry could react, the entire structure tore free, sending him plunging 5 stories to the ground. The impact was devastating. Dmitry's body lay still among the rubble, the force of the fall leaving a deep imprint in the dirt and debris below. His camera, cracked but intact, remained beside him, a haunting reminder of his dedication to his craft. His friends, still on the roof, watched in shock as they realized what had happened. They rushed down, but it was too late. Emergency responders arrived shortly after, but Dmitry's injuries were fatal. News of Dmitry's death spread quickly, devastating his community of fans. Comments flooded his channel, with viewers mourning his loss and celebrating his fearless spirit. One fan wrote, "Dmitry always showed us the beauty in forgotten places. His spirit will live on in his work." For many, his videos were more than entertainment. They were a glimpse into history, revealing the fragile beauty of abandoned spaces. Dmitry's last video, where he navigated Moscow's underground tunnels in a small boat, is now seen as a tribute to his adventurous spirit, capturing the essence of his work: curiosity and reverence for the world's hidden corners. Urban exploration is a pursuit filled with allure and danger. These forgotten spaces, rich with history and mystery, are often structurally unsound. Rusted supports, crumbling walls, and unstable floors can turn even the most experienced adventurer's journey into a tragedy. Dmitry understood these risks, yet his drive to uncover the unknown pushed him to the limits, a trait both admired and mourned by those who followed his journey. Dmitry's death serves as a somber reminder of the thin line between adventure and peril. Yet through his videos, he achieved something enduring. He inspired others to look beyond decay, to see beauty where others saw ruin, and to cherish the history etched into forgotten places. It was March 13, 2024, in Rogudi Vecchio, a ghost town nestled in the mountains of Calabria, Italy. Georgi Janelidze, a 23-year-old fitness influencer from Greece with over 100,000 Instagram followers, was exploring the abandoned village with his friend, Chris Kogies. The ancient settlement, once home to one of Italy's last Greek-speaking communities, had been deserted since the 1970s following devastating floods. Now it stood as a hauntingly beautiful collection of crumbling stone buildings perched precariously on the mountainside. For Zane, this wasn't just a casual visit. It was an opportunity to capture striking content for his social media. Born in Georgia but living in Greece, Zaini had built his reputation on fitness videos, workout routines, and travel adventures. His heavily tattooed, muscular physique had earned him a dedicated following, and he had recently co-founded a protein powder business called Dream Greek with another influencer. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the abandoned buildings, Zane and Chris explored the ruins, documenting their adventure. The village's stone structures, weathered by decades of abandonment, offered a dramatic backdrop for their photos and videos. Many buildings stood on the edge of steep drops, with balconies overlooking ravines hundreds of feet deep. Around 4:30 p.m., Zane spotted a particularly striking vantage point, a balcony on an old stone house with a breathtaking view of the valley below. The balcony, like many structures in Ragudi Vecchio, had no safety railing. Time and the elements had worn away any protective features that might have once existed. But for Zane, the risk seemed worth the reward of capturing the perfect shot. As Chris filmed from a distance, Zane stepped onto the crumbling balcony. The stone beneath his feet, weakened by decades of rain and frost, gave no warning before it crumbled. In an instant, Zane lost his balance. There was nothing to grab onto, no railing to catch him. He plummeted into the ravine below, falling approximately 330 feet before hitting the ground. Chris's panicked cries echoed through the abandoned village as he rushed to the edge, desperately hoping to see his friend holding on to something, somehow alive. But the reality was immediate and devastating. He immediately called emergency services, his voice breaking as he explained what had happened. Firefighters from the Melito Porto Salvo detachment and the SAF unit arrived quickly, but the steep terrain made reaching Zane extremely difficult. The ravine was so deep and treacherous that rescuers couldn't retrieve his body on foot. They had to call in helicopters, which carefully winched Zane's body up on a stretcher. He was then transported to Salin Jonish and handed over to authorities. The news of Zane's death spread rapidly through social media, the very platform where he had built his following. His girlfriend, Elena Margariti, shared her grief in an Instagram story. "The most beautiful person inside and out, the biggest adventure I've ever had with someone. With my man, my whole life, many dreams, a home together, through our difficulties, through our joys, and we made it. Us against all odds, so unfairly, so early. I love you so much, we will meet again. My tsitsi." Chris Kogias later confirmed the tragedy to Greek media. "Zane is no longer with us. He left us yesterday afternoon during the trip we made to Italy. Please pray with us for his soul to rest in peace." Zane's Instagram page, once filled with vibrant fitness content and travel adventures, became a memorial. His final post, promoting his protein powder, now stands as a haunting reminder of a life cut short. A young man who, in pursuit of the perfect content for his followers, ventured too close to the edge in an abandoned village, where danger lurked in every crumbling stone. It was June 26, 2017, in Hallstatt, Minnesota, when a young couple's quest for YouTube fame would end in unimaginable tragedy. Pedro Ruiz III, 22, and his pregnant girlfriend Mona Lisa Perez, 19, were about to attempt their most dangerous stunt yet, one that would cost Pedro his life and forever change their family's future. The couple had spent months building their YouTube presence, sharing pranks and stunts with their modest following of 218 subscribers. But on this warm summer evening, Pedro believed he had the perfect idea for their breakthrough video. With their 3-year-old daughter Aaliyah nearby and 2 cameras carefully positioned, he prepared to test a deadly hypothesis. Could a hardcover encyclopedia stop a bullet from a .50 caliber Desert Eagle, one of the world's most powerful handguns? To understand how a young father would risk everything for a viral video, one must look back at the journey that brought him to this fatal moment. Born on January 27, 1995, in Fargo, North Dakota, Pedro's early life was marked by constant movement and adaptation. His childhood was a series of transitions, from living with his mother and sisters in McAllen, Texas, to time spent with his grandmother Maria V. Martinez, before finally finding stability with foster parents Sarah and Rick Almer in North Dakota. Despite these challenges, or perhaps because of them, Pedro developed a resilient spirit and an unwavering determination to make his mark on the world. After graduating from West Fargo High School, Pedro secured a stable position with BNSF Railroad, where he worked diligently for 4 years. But it was music that truly spoke to his soul. Those closest to him recalled how music became his sanctuary. Whether he was happy, angry, or sad, he found peace in driving while listening to his favorite songs. Despite his nomadic childhood, Pedro grew to deeply value family connections, treasuring simple moments like shared meals and movie nights with loved ones. The year 2012 brought a pivotal change when Pedro met Mona Lisa Perez. Their connection was instant and profound, leading to the birth of their daughter, Aaliyah Virginia Ruiz, in 2014. By 2017, they were expecting their second child, and like many young couples of their generation, they dreamed of social media stardom. Their YouTube channel started modestly enough, featuring lighthearted content, Pedro climbing trees and taking theatrical falls, Mona Lisa playing pranks with powder-covered donuts. "Imagine when we have 300,000 subscribers," Mona Lisa would say in what would tragically become their final video together at a fairground. On that fateful June evening, in their Hallstatt home, Pedro was convinced he had found their path to viral fame. The stunt seemed foolproof to him. He had even tested it beforehand, showing Mona Lisa another book he'd shot where the bullet hadn't penetrated completely. The setup was methodical, 2 cameras positioned strategically, one mounted on a car, another on a ladder. At 7:30 p.m., Mona Lisa's apprehension was clear when she posted on Twitter, "Me and Pedro are probably going to shoot one of the most dangerous videos ever. His idea, not mine." Her fear was palpable in the video as she pleaded, "I can't do it, babe, I'm so scared." But Pedro, ever confident, assured her, "As long as you hit the book, you'll be fine." Standing just a foot away, Mona Lisa pulled the trigger. The bullet tore through the encyclopedia with devastating force, striking Pedro in the chest. His confidence in the book's protection proved fatally misplaced. "We were doing a YouTube video, and it went wrong," a panicked Mona Lisa told 911 dispatchers. Despite rapid response from emergency services, Pedro was pronounced dead at the scene. The legal aftermath revealed the complex nature of the tragedy. Mona Lisa faced second-degree manslaughter charges, but Norman County Attorney James Brew acknowledged that the foolish stunt was dreamed up, planned, and executed by Pedro Ruiz. This led to a sentence below state guidelines: 180 days in jail served in 30-day increments over 3 years, 10 years of supervised probation, and a lifetime ban on firearm possession. Pedro never met his son, Pedro Ruiz IV, who was born that September. His aunt Claudia Ruiz later told media, "They were in love. It was just a prank gone wrong. It shouldn't have happened like this." Norman County Sheriff Jeremy Thornton expressed the bewilderment many felt. "I really have no idea what they were thinking. I just don't understand the younger generation trying to get their 15 minutes of fame." It was January 17, 2015, a sunny afternoon in Burbank, California, when fitness icon Greg Plitt took his last, fateful run. Known for his drive to push boundaries, Greg had built a reputation as the #1 fitness model in the world. That day he was filming a commercial for an energy drink, a project meant to showcase his unstoppable energy and fearless spirit. Born on November 3, 1977 in Baltimore, Maryland, Greg grew up excelling in sports and academics. A gifted wrestler and football player, he had a 4.0 GPA and offers from multiple colleges. His older sister, a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, inspired him to pursue a path of excellence. Initially planning to follow her lead and join the Navy, Greg chose the more challenging route, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. It was a decision driven by his desire to test himself against fear and push his limits, a trait that would come to define him. Greg became an Army captain and airborne ranger, an achievement that shaped his future. After his military service, Greg transitioned to fitness modeling and acting. He graced over 200 magazine covers, appeared in national commercials, and became a motivational figure to millions. Greg was known for his relentless work ethic and unshakable belief in the power of hard work and perseverance. His personal motto, "You only live once, but if you work it right, once is enough," resonated with his fans. With sponsorships from MetRx, Under Armour, and Gold's Gym, Greg cemented his place as the #1 fitness model in the world. On the day of the tragic incident, Greg's goal was to run alongside a train for the energy drink commercial. The setup was simple. Greg would sprint along the tracks with the train passing behind him, However, a critical misjudgment occurred. The train wasn't on the adjacent track as Greg expected. In his mind, the train would pass by on the other side, allowing him to safely run beside it. Instead, the Metrolink commuter train, traveling at 55 miles per hour, was coming directly toward him. As the horn blared, Greg's miscalculation became clear. Realizing too late that the train was on his track, he tried to escape, but it was too late. Witnesses reported a moment of panic as Greg tried to outrun the train. One friend recalled, "Everything Greg did, he did extremely well. But even Greg's unmatched physicality couldn't outrun the reality of the situation. His attempt to switch tracks at the last moment was captured on video." His girlfriend, Christina, later reflected that Greg was always chasing the perfect shot, believing the next one would be the best. Christina described Greg as someone who always aimed for greatness, saying, "He wanted to push things to the limit. He's just like Superman." Greg's death was confirmed on the tracks at 3:30 p.m., less than 100 feet from where the train was speeding. The onboard event recorder on the Metrolink train revealed that Greg may have thought the train was coming from a parallel track, giving him a few more seconds to react than he had. But the confusion was fatal. As the train passed, Greg stumbled, tripped, and was struck, instantly killed. The crew, who had been filming the commercial, were equally devastated. After the accident, they immediately called emergency services, but Greg's death had already been confirmed. The commercial, which was meant to capture Greg's remarkable strength, instead captured a moment that would haunt them all. Greg's legacy as a fitness icon and motivational figure endures. His life, marked by his unrelenting pursuit of excellence, has inspired countless individuals to chase their dreams with determination. Despite his death, Greg's influence continues to inspire those who believed in his message, to live life to its fullest and never settle for less than what is possible. The final moments of Greg Plitt's life serve as a stark reminder of the dangers that lurk in even the most seemingly safe environments. His story is one of passion, perseverance, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. Though his journey was cut short, the impact of his work and his message will continue to resonate for years to come. It was a cold November night in 2017 when James William Stobie, better known as Stobe the Hobo, was out doing what he loved most, riding the rails. At 33, Stobie had become famous on YouTube for documenting his life as a modern-day train hopper, showing a dangerous world few dared to enter. His videos weren't just clips of train hopping, they were artistic journeys set to his own piano music, offering a raw glimpse into a lifestyle most would never experience. On November 9, 2017, Stobie was in Maryland, filming one of his latest adventures. The former Coast Guard member had gained nearly 11,000 subscribers, who were drawn to his honest, humorous, and often thrilling content. Watching Stobie ride through swamps and across plains felt like joining him on his journey, a journey that would tragically end that night. The exact details of what happened remain somewhat unclear. Some reports suggest his backpack got caught on an Amtrak train, dragging him to his death. Others indicate he may have fallen from a bridge while trying to hop a train, landing on the tracks below. What is certain is that Stobie died doing what had defined his online persona, riding the rails and documenting the experience. Born to Michael and Mary Stobie in Colorado, James had always embraced an unconventional lifestyle. Friends described him as intelligent, quirky, and passionate about his interests. His videos featured his own piano compositions, blending creativity with a sense of rebellion against societal norms. "He died doing what he loved," wrote one fan on a Facebook memorial page. For Stobie, train hopping wasn't just a thrill, it was his way of rejecting a modern life he found unfulfilling. "I am really disappointed with modern boring life in the US, and the fact that traveling basically requires a personal vehicle these days," he once told an interviewer. Stobie was well aware of the dangers he faced. In one interview, he recalled a close call, "Trying to get on or off at high speed, or with too much alcohol in my system." A specific instance would be dismounting while fatigued and blitzed, wiping out and watching a wheel go 2 inches from my face. Despite these risks, Stobie kept riding, documenting his journeys across America's vast railway network. His death sent ripples through the train hopping community and beyond. One Reddit user warned others about the dangers. "Train hopping is a decidedly dangerous undertaking. It's a federal crime and you can do serious time if you are busted. This lifestyle will catch up to you. Train hopping is not glamorous or romantic. The Baltimore Police Department investigated Stobie's death, but released few details. For those who followed him, the loss was profound. His obituary described him as someone who would be fondly remembered solely for his quirky yet lovable self, as evidenced by his humor, fierce wit, compassion, deadpan delivery, solicited and unsolicited commentary on just about anything, unbridled passion for unconventional living, mad piano skills, the enormous talent that he generously shared with all whose lives he intersected with. Stobie's legacy lives on through his videos, which continue to attract viewers fascinated by his unique perspective on life and freedom. His death, while tragic, has become part of a larger conversation about the risks of extreme hobbies and content creation. In the years since his passing, Stobie has inspired a new generation of train hoppers, like a young man from Colorado who began his own YouTube channel in 2020. For them, as it was for Stobie, train hopping isn't just a hobby. It's a form of self-expression and a connection to America's past, albeit one that comes with deadly consequences. It was January 24th, 2022, in Lost Dutchman State Park, Arizona. Richard Jacobson, a 21-year-old from Mesa, was doing what he loved most, exploring the outdoors. Together with a friend, whose name would later be withheld by authorities, Richard had made the challenging trek up to Flatiron Summit in the Superstition Mountains, a hike he'd been eagerly anticipating for weeks. The Flatiron Summit, rising dramatically from the desert floor, had long been a magnet for outdoor enthusiasts. Its steep, rocky terrain and panoramic views made it one of the most popular and dangerous hiking destinations in the region. That night, as temperatures dropped and stars filled the Arizona sky, Richard and his friends set up camp at the summit, surrounded by the kind of views that make photographers dream. As midnight approached, the valley below offered a mesmerizing sight. The city lights of Phoenix sparkled in the distance, creating what seemed like a perfect photo opportunity. Richard, an avid outdoorsman who loved hiking and hunting, couldn't resist the chance to capture the moment. At approximately 12:45 a.m., he moved toward the edge, positioning himself for what would be his final photograph. What happened next unfolded in mere seconds. The ground beneath Richard's feet, possibly weakened by recent weather conditions, suddenly gave way. His friend could only watch in horror as Richard plummeted 700 feet into the darkness below. Immediately, he called 911, his desperate plea for help echoing across the silent mountain. Sergeant Doug Peeble from the Pinal County Sheriff's Office search and rescue team quickly took charge of the response. Mr. Jacobson went to take a photograph with himself and the city skyline in the background, and he lost his footing and slipped, he would later explain to the media. The investigation found no evidence of foul play or substance use, just the tragic consequence of a moment's misjudgment. The recovery operation proved challenging, even for experienced rescue teams. The Arizona Department of Public Safety dispatched a helicopter, but the rough terrain complicated their efforts. Eventually, they located Richard's body, approximately 700 feet below the summit. His traumatized friend required airlift evacuation from the mountain, the psychological impact of witnessing such a tragedy taking its toll. Among those who knew him best was Andrew Thomas, a close friend who had spent time with Richard during a 2020 missionary trip. "I spent all my waking hours with Richard, so I got to know him pretty well," Thomas shared with local media. "He was an outdoorsman, hunter, hiker, he did stuff like that. So I guess he died doing what he loved, just in a tragic way." Thomas painted a picture of a young man who treated everyone with respect and possessed a great sense of humor. "He really was one of those guys that everyone loved," he added. "And it's sad to lose him, but we know that it's not the end. We're going to see him again." The Siphon Draw Trail, the main route to Flatiron Summit, had already earned a reputation for its dangers. Rated as one of the most challenging hikes in the area, it frequently saw helicopter evacuations. Regular hikers often warned about rock slides and treacherous conditions, with one All Trails reviewer noting it as the hardest hike I've done in the valley so far. On January 29th, friends and family gathered at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Mesa, Arizona, to remember Richard. The service celebrated a life cut short, but lived fully, with stories shared of his adventures and kind spirit. Richard's death added to a disturbing trend. According to the Journal of Family Medicine and Primary Care, Between 2011 and 2017, at least 259 people lost their lives while taking selfies. Each statistic represented someone's child, friend, or loved one, now including a young man from Mesa who simply wanted to capture a beautiful moment. It was October 29, 2024, in the isolated Juk region of Lapland, northern Sweden. Storm de Bull, a 22-year-old Belgian YouTuber, had ventured deep into the wilderness alone. Known for his love of solitude, Storm often explored the rugged terrain, sharing his experiences with a small but dedicated audience of over 1,100 subscribers on his channel, Storm Outdoorsy. He had developed a reputation for offering both scenic footage and practical survival tips, gaining a modest following who admired his deep connection with nature. His father shared that Storm had always struggled to find his place among people, but found peace in the wild, where he could truly feel himself. That evening, a powerful storm swept in. Winds roared through the trees as temperatures dropped to 21 degrees Fahrenheit. With a wind chill that made it feel far colder, snow began to fall in heavy, relentless sheets, coating the land in white. Storm recorded a quick message for a friend, showing the snow piling up in his boots and packing gear. He mentioned that conditions would only worsen as night fell. Later, he sent a brief text to his grandmother, assuring her that the storm would pass and he would be fine. Little did he know, these would be his last words. By 2 a.m., Storm had sent a distress signal to Swedish rescue services, stating he was injured and in need of immediate help. However, the storm was too severe for rescue efforts to begin that night. Alone and injured, Storm chose to leave his camp and attempt to reach his car, which was located about 9 miles away. His shelter, likely destroyed by the storm, offered no protection. His mother later speculated that the freezing conditions may have caused his feet and legs to become severely frostbitten, hampering his mobility as he struggled through the storm. By morning on October 30th, the storm had started to ease, allowing rescue teams to search. Around 10 a.m., Storm's body was discovered on a narrow path far from his campsite, still a long distance from his car. His backpack, now almost empty, contained only a sleeping bag and a toothbrush. The signs of his struggle were clear. His broken nose suggested a fall, likely from the extreme conditions he endured. His body was a testament to his fight against the elements, but the cold had claimed him. The news of Storm's death shattered his family. His mother, Elizabeth Raidmaker, spoke of the agonizing wait, clinging to hope that he might be found alive. When the news came, it extinguished that hope. She couldn't imagine the struggle he faced in his final hours, fighting the storm, perhaps alone, unable to survive. His father, Bout, remembered Storm's quiet determination and his love for the outdoors. His videos would live on, a testament to his adventurous spirit. But one part of his legacy was still lost: his camera, which had captured his final journey. Bout planned to return in the spring once the snow had melted, to recover the camera and its memory card, hoping it would reveal the final moments of Storm's story. Storm's tragic end echoed the story of Christopher McCandless, who, like Storm, sought freedom in the wilderness only to meet a similar fate. But Elizabeth wanted to focus on who Storm truly was: a quiet young man at peace with nature. "We're not trying to make him into a hero," she said. "He was just Storm, someone who loved nature." While his death was heartbreaking, it served as a reminder of the wilderness power. His legacy would live on through his videos, and his family hoped to one day uncover the final pieces of his journey. It was October 20th, 2018, in Vernon, British Columbia. The sky was clear, perfect for flying and for filming. John James McMurray, a 34-year-old Canadian rapper known professionally as John James, was preparing for his most daring stunt yet. The former professional skier-turned-musician had built his reputation on extreme videos that pushed boundaries, combining his music with death-defying stunts. This day would be different. John had spent months training intensively for what he believed would be his most spectacular video yet, walking on the wing of a Cessna airplane while rapping. It wasn't his first brush with danger. His body already bore the scars of his risk-taking lifestyle, including a broken back from previous stunts during his skiing career. John's manager, Ryan Desrochers, had watched him prepare meticulously for this moment. He trained intensively for this stunt, Desrochers would later tell reporters. John had practiced his balance, studied the aircraft, and worked with the pilot to understand every aspect of the challenge. His friends described him as calculated in his risk-taking, someone who pushed limits, but always with preparation. The small Cessna took off from a local airfield with John, the pilot, and a small film crew on board. As they reached altitude, John prepared to step outside the aircraft. He had done similar stunts before, but never quite like this. The cameras were rolling as he carefully made his way onto the wing, his face showing the intense concentration of someone who understood the razor-thin margin for error. At first, everything went according to plan. John stood on the wing, the wind whipping at his clothes as he began to rap. The footage would have been spectacular, a fearless performer suspended thousands of feet above the earth, creating art in the face of extreme danger. But as John moved further out onto the wing, the aircraft's balance began to shift. The small Cessna, not designed for wing walking, started to tilt. What had been a controlled flight seconds before was now turning into a downward spiral. The pilot struggled with the controls, trying desperately to level the aircraft, but the weight distribution had become too uneven. John, realizing the danger, tried to make his way back, but it was too late. The plane's spiral had become too severe. His only option now was to let go and deploy his parachute, but he had held on too long, trying to save the stunt, trying to give the pilot a chance to recover. When he finally released his grip on the wing, he was too close to the ground. There wasn't enough altitude for his parachute to deploy effectively. John James McMurray, the daredevil who had cheated death countless times before, plummeted to the earth below. The pilot, managing to regain control of the aircraft, landed safely. But for John, there would be no more stunts, no more music, no more pushing the boundaries of what was possible. News of John's death spread quickly through the music and extreme sports communities. His friend Rory Wayne Bushfield expressed the sentiment felt by many: he died doing what he loved. Another friend added, John was living his ultimate dream, free and full. In the days that followed, tributes poured in from fans and fellow artists alike. A GoFundMe page was established to help release John's music posthumously and support his celebration of life. His management team released a statement describing him as an incredibly passionate person who truly had a heart of gold. John James McMurray left behind his wife, parents, and brother, and a legacy as someone who refused to live within conventional boundaries. His music videos, which continue to be viewed by thousands, stand as a testament to a life lived at the edge of possibility. In his pursuit of the perfect shot, the ultimate thrill, John paid the ultimate price, becoming one with the sky he so loved to challenge. It was February 5th, 2021 in Nashville, Tennessee. The evening air was crisp, and families filled Urban Air Adventure Park, an indoor entertainment venue known for its family-friendly atmosphere. But outside in the darkened parking lot, 20-year-old Timothy Wilkes was preparing for what he thought would be his breakthrough YouTube moment, a robbery prank that would end in his death. Before that fatal night, Timothy Wilkes was known for his quiet determination and responsible nature. After years of dedicated work at Walmart, he had begun pursuing a career in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. But like many young people of his generation, he harbored secret dreams of social media stardom. The robbery prank genre had become increasingly popular on YouTube, with videos garnering millions of views. The concept was simple: pretend to rob unsuspecting people, film their reactions, and transform their fear into entertainment. At approximately 9:20 p.m., Timothy and his friend decided to execute their version, but with one crucial difference. Instead of fake weapons, they carried real butcher knives. Their target was a group of people in the parking lot, among them 23-year-old David Starnes Jr. As Timothy and his friend approached menacingly with their knives, what they saw as entertainment, Starnes perceived as a genuine threat. In a split-second decision that would haunt multiple families forever, Starnes, a licensed gun owner, drew his weapon and fired. The sound of the gunshot shattered the evening calm. Timothy lay fatally wounded in the parking lot, his plans for viral fame ending in tragedy. When police arrived, they found Starnes shaken but forthright. He had no knowledge of any prank and believed he was protecting himself and others from an armed robbery. Witnesses confirmed that Wilkes and his friend had been filming a YouTube video, but in the darkness of the parking lot, the line between prank and reality had become fatally blurred. The Metro Nashville Police Department filed no charges against Starnes, determining his actions were justified under Tennessee's self-defense laws. The presence of real butcher knives and the threatening approach left little doubt about the reasonableness of his fear. The tragedy devastated multiple families. Timothy's grandmother, Shirley Berry, was not only grief-stricken but confused. She hadn't even known about her grandson's YouTube ambitions. Through her pain, she became an advocate for greater parental awareness of children's online activities, warning others about the dangerous allure of social media fame. The timing of Timothy's death was particularly poignant. YouTube had recently banned dangerous pranks, specifically prohibiting fake robbery pranks involving weapons after recognizing their potential for tragic misunderstandings. Yet the allure of viral fame proved too strong for Timothy, whose everyday life painted a picture starkly different from his final actions. To his younger siblings, he was a role model, a serious young man who carried himself with dignity. His steady work ethic and career aspirations made his fatal decision all the more bewildering. It was November 26, 2021, in Kabur, Norway. Tove, known as T to his millions of followers, was preparing for another of his famous stunts. At 57, Tove had built a reputation on extreme activities, pushing the limits of adventure and danger. His YouTube channel, with over 1.2 million subscribers, had earned him a dedicated fan base who followed him through freezing lakes and icy skates, always with vodka in hand. That day, at Jacob's Dam, Tove was gearing up to skate on a frozen lake, something he had done countless times before. The lake, still thick with ice from the harsh cold of the Norwegian winter, appeared deceptively safe. But what began as another typical Friday for Tove quickly spiraled into tragedy. The air was cold, and the sky was clear, with only the faintest hint of clouds far in the distance. Tove filmed his preparations, a steady hand capturing each moment as he bundled up in his skates. He sent a message to his partner, Tos, including photos of the lake and noting that the ice seemed stable. It was a typical message for Tove, always documenting his stunts. His fans had come to expect this: extreme sports, icy waters, and humor. His stunts were always risky, and he had built a reputation for taking on dangerous challenges, skating on thin ice, diving into freezing waters, and laughing through it all. But this time, the ice betrayed him. As Tove glided across the lake, filming the moment for his fans, the unmistakable sound of cracking ice filled the air. Before he could react, the surface beneath him gave way. Tove plunged into the freezing water, the shock of the cold instantly taking hold. He had swum in icy lakes before, always managing to escape unscathed. But this time, the water gripped him too tightly. His limbs went numb, and his cries for help echoed across the vast, empty expanse of the lake. But no one was close enough to hear in time. The temperature of the water was around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, a lethal cold that made it difficult for him to keep himself above the surface. Locals, hearing his distress, immediately called for rescue. The fire department responded quickly, and within minutes, a team of divers was in the water, desperately searching for Tove. They finally pulled him from the freezing depths, but the damage had been done. The water had drained his strength. He was rushed to the hospital, his body already beginning to shut down from the prolonged exposure. But by the time he arrived at the emergency room, it was too late. He had been submerged for too long, unable to escape the icy grip of the lake. On the morning of November 27th, after hours of trying to revive him, the doctors made the difficult decision to turn off life support. Tove's family, his partner Tos and their son Johannes, were by his side in his final moments. His sudden death sent shockwaves through his followers, a community that had come to expect his wild stunts and unwavering bravado. Just 5 days before his death, Tove had posted a video titled, "I am not dead, I am 57 today." He sat in an outdoor bathtub, sipping vodka and joking about life, celebrating his birthday in his usual carefree manner. That video, filled with quirky moments and humor, would become one of his last. His fans, who had admired his fearless adventures, were left grieving the loss of a man who had always danced on the edge of danger. Tove's death, though tragic, wasn't entirely unexpected. He had always lived on the edge, constantly pushing his limits with stunts that balanced humor and danger. Yet his passing served as a sobering reminder of the real risks involved in living life fearlessly. The news quickly spread through the YouTube community, with fellow creators honoring a man who had dedicated himself to entertaining and challenging both himself and his audience. One commenter summed it up: "He died doing what he loved, making wacky videos that always brought smiles." Tov's channel, filled with thrilling adventures, captured his deep love for nature and his unrelenting desire to test boundaries. Despite the risks, Tov's final moments underscored the dangers he regularly faced. As his fans mourned, they remembered a man who lived with a smile, undeterred by cold or peril. His last video became a bittersweet memory, a reminder that even the boldest adventurers can fall victim to the very risks they embrace. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.